Obsidian Flames is almost here, and we are doing a complete set review. Today, we are taking a look at Fire-type Pokemon. Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon, and here, we play Jank. And so let's go ahead and get started looking at Fire-type Pokemon. Of course, we are using the wonderful website Justin Basil. I am pre-recording this pretty far in advance, about a week. And, this is what we expect the set to have. It's not a guarantee of what the set has. We won't really know that until kind of basically pre-releases start next week. So, first Pokemon we have is Charmander. For a single Fire Energy Heat Tackle, 30 damage, this Pokemon does 10 damage to itself. I like it. That's a decent attack for a basic evolving Pokemon. Next up, we have Charmeleon. For 2 Fire Energy Heat Tackle, 70 damage, this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself. So, as long as the Charizard also wants damage on it, this is a pretty good synergy. If it doesn't, then it's a little weird, in my opinion. But, you know, not bad, not great, but not bad. Of course, the Charizard, if you don't already know, is a Terra type coming as Darkness in the TCG. Still uses Fire Energy, so these attacks are still on the table. But we'll cover that Pokemon when we get to the Darkness types later on. Next up, we do have Vulpix and Ninetales. Vulpix, for a single energy, does 10 damage. For 2 energy, does 20 damage and confuses your opponent's active Pokemon. That's okay. Confusion, I really like Confusion, so I like that. I would prefer it for a single energy, but it's fine as a double energy, you know, 20 damage and confusion sort of thing. For the Ninetales, single energy, Will-O-Wisp, 20 damage. 2 Fire Energy, Ninetale Dance, put 9 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Easy enough to deal with the this Pokemon can't attack next turn issue. But 9 damage counters is pretty good. Currently, Sableye is kind of wrecking the, a lot of the, it's not wrecking, but it's preventing a lot of decks from entering the format because of that, dropping 12 damage counters however you like. This is 9 damage counters onto one Pokemon. It feels a little bit more balanced, but still really good, and still gets around that whole Manaphy issue, right? So if you're playing a fire spread deck, you gotta throw in Ninetales to deal with that Manaphy issue, and then you can keep spreading however you want. So I do like this attack, and I think it has uses. Next up, we do have Entei. It is a basic Pokemon with 130 HP, and has an ability as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks do 20 less. For 3 colorless, it does 60 damage. This deck does 20 more damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So, just attach a bunch of energy, does more damage. It is weaker than, say, Gardevoir, but it is on a basic. So, it does have that going for it. Plus, the ability basically means this Entei has 150 HP if you're 1-hit KOing it, 170 if you're 2-hit KOing it, so on and so forth. So I see uses for this. I don't think fire types have the energy acceleration that Gardevoir does, that psychic types do in general. So I'm not sure if this will be that useful, sadly. We do have the Pokemon Go Charizard that doubles all the fire energy. And so looks like that will work with this attack. So you just need 2 fire energy on there, and then you're doing 130 damage. Not bad, but that's requiring a stage 2 in play, 2 energy, and all that stuff. So, I don't know, this attack could become very good as soon as fire types have good energy acceleration. Next up, we have Numel and Camera. For the Numel, it's a fire colorless, hot magma, 20 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. That's an additional 20 damage. And then they flip a coin to see if they're healed from it. Could be an additional 20 damage as well. You're looking at 40 damage guaranteed for 2 energy. That's awesome. I love that, in fact. The Camera for fire and colorless, 50 damage. each player discards the top card of their deck. This attack does 100 more damage for each energy discard this way. I love this. This is going to be so much fun. I wish we still had the Oranguru, but without it, you're going to be wanting to take advantage of switching cups to put a fire energy guaranteed, or any energy, guaranteed on top of your deck. There's 150 damage for 2 energy on a stage 1, and if your opponent discards an energy as well, let me see, for each energy. It does not specify basic energy card, so special energy as well will trigger this. If your opponent discards an energy as well, you're doing 250 damage. That's phenomenal. I honestly wish there was some way to manipulate how many cards Camera Up was discarding. So not only are you milling 1, but you have the ability to hit really hard. Pretty fast too. 2 energy on a stage 1. Not bad. I actually really like this Camera Up. If I didn't hate fire Pokemon with a fiery passion, kind of ironic, because I love grass types, and all grass types are weak to fire, unlike water types or something, but all fire types are weak to water, so, you know, they suffer the same problem. Camera Up could be an interesting deck for sure. 3 energy, 120. Not quite as interesting as the Eruption attack. I prefer the Eruption just because you have that chance of doing 250 damage. But having to use Switching Cups, which you only have 4 copies of in the deck and that kind of stuff, it does make sense that maybe having that backup attack that only does 120 is good. Maybe you do Eruption 1 turn, okay, you get your 150. You do Steaming Stomp the next turn, there's 120, so that's 270 damage. That's a good amount of damage in my opinion. So now we have Victini EX. Single fire energy, strafe, 30 damage. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. So a hit and run tactic, probably going to throw out Mimikyu when you do that. And then for 2 fire and a colorless, Victory Flame, 220 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon can't attack. Again, we have ways to get around that, just a switch and retreat sort of business. We'll get around that. 220 is a good amount for 3 energy on a 2 prize Pokemon. So I'm seeing a lot of positives from Victini, and it's versatile enough that I can see it seeing play. The 190 HP is the biggest issue I have with it right now. You know, it's an easy boss KO situation, right? Darumaka and Darmanitan are here, and the Darumaka for 2 colorless energy, 20 damage. Okay. 3 energy, 1 of them being fire, 2 of them being colorless. Surprise attack, 70 damage. Flip a coin if tails. This attack does nothing. Not a fan of 3 energy, possible nothing. That feels really bad. I would believe 3 energy, 70 would be good. It would be decent enough. You might KO an opponent's opposing evolving basic sort of situation. But on a tails, it does nothing, just hurts so much. And then we have the Darmanitan for a fire double colorless damage counter punch, 60 damage plus damage, or 60 plus damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 60 more damage. I would prefer it to do, like, you know, for each damage counter on it, do 10 more damage, sort of thing like a Tauros currently has. And I would prefer that than just if it has any damage counters. Obviously, using the Magma Basin or whatever stadium to attach a fire energy to it and deal 20 damage does mean you're doing 120 for 3 energy. I just said how Camera Up, you're looking at that, discard the top card of your deck and 100 for each energy discard this way. That attack is good, while the 120 may be okay. This is maybe okay. It's 120 with extra work than Camera Up. For 1 fire, 3 colorless, Heat Blast, 140. You're KOing an opponent's Darmanitan, but 140 just doesn't seem worthwhile enough. Again, if we had a choice band, choice belt against EXs maybe, then you're doing 170, and 170 is a good number to hit. You're 2-hit KOing things in the 300s, right? But since we don't have that, it's hard to recommend 4 energy for 140, right? Let's see, Heat More, 2 fire energy, energy burner, 30 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each fire energy attached, or for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. It being 30 plus 30, I don't think is useful enough. If it was like 50 plus 50, then we would be talking. Then your opponent needs 3 energy and you're doing 200. That would be beautiful. But right now, if your opponent has 3 energy attached, you're only doing 120, which just isn't good enough. If it was between both active Pokemon, maybe. You've got 2, so right off the bat, you're doing 90 plus 30 for each of their energy, maybe. But just currently, it's a no. Sorry, Heatmore. Alright, now we have Litwick, Lampet, and Chandelure. The Litwick for a single energy does 10 plus damage. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 10 more. So 20 on a coin flip, but 10 otherwise. Okay. Lampet, a single energy, 30 damage. Nope, 20 damage. The text here says 30, but you can clearly see on the card it's just 20. And then for a fire colorless alluring fireball, switch in one of your opponent's benched Pokemon to the active spot. This attack does 30 damage to the new active Pokemon. I like that switches then damages. I'm not a fan of the ones that damage then switch, because you're putting the weakened Pokemon on the bench. This switches and then damage. I like that a lot more. Chandelure, 1 fire, 10 plus damage. This attack does 50 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Like I was just talking about with Heatmore, I kind of like this, except for the fact that's on a stage 2, but its other attack is 3 energy, so it's a decent single energy attack on a stage 2, not gonna lie. It's just hard to recommend playing it based off that. The 3 energy attack, though, is 150 damage. So unless your opponent has less than 3 energy attached to it, then you're just using Burning Chain, right? If your opponent only has 1 or 2 energy attached, you're going to want Heat Blast, but otherwise Burning Chain, right? Yeah. Burning Chain, I like it, but I can't see myself building a deck around it. Next up, we have a pretty rare Pokemon be Larvastar with Volcarona as well. Larvastar for a single fire does 10 damage. For fire colorless does 40, then damage 10 to itself. I do like that. 40 damage is higher than we've seen a lot of these flip a coin, or a lot of these take 10 damage itself sort of attacks on these evolving basics. So that's pretty good. And then Volcarona, single fire energy, 30 damage. Attach a fire energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And then 3 energy, 130. That Volcarona just isn't good enough in my opinion. It's just not good enough. Maybe if Flame Cloak could attach to any Pokemon, I would like it more. But still, it's a stage 1, trying to accelerate energy. And 130 for 3 energy just isn't good enough. If I wasn't surprised by Chandelure's 3 energy, 150, I'm not surprised by 3 energy, 130 on Volcarona. Next up, a weird one for fire type is SQEX. It is a water penguin with the Terra type fire. So for 3 water energy, piping hot block, 160 damage, discard an energy from this Pokemon. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. Holy cow, that's pretty darn good. Are we sure it's only discard 1 energy? I mean, I don't read Japanese, but in the text it shows a 1. So pretty much we're pretty sure this is discard 1 energy, and that's pretty awesome. Now the 3 water energy requirement is a little difficult. We do have Melanie in the format that can accelerate energy only to Pokemon V. That's the issue. We do have Baxcalibur, but are you going to want SQ or are you going to want Chimpao as a partner to Baxcalibur? I think you're going to want Chimpao, but SQ could be a fun one-of if your opponent's Pokemon are weak to fire, say it's a grass or metal deck. SQ could be pretty good, especially against a metal deck, because Chien-Pao's weak against metal. So maybe SQ's a one-of in Chien-Pao lists in order to do this. And making it to where your opponent's defending Pokemon can't attack is pretty awesome. They gotta switch out, switch back in to use that attack, or switch out to an alternate attacker sort of business, if you're not KOing them, right? You're 2-hit KOing most Pokemon with 160. So I do like this. I think it's pretty awesome, and I hope it sees play. I honestly hope it does. Alright, next up we've got Char Cadet. 1 colorless energy, light punch, 10 damage. A fire colorless, combustion, 20 damage. Okay. And then Armor Rouge with the ability Scorching Armor. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, the attacking Pokemon is now burned. That's pretty cool. That's going to be an extra 20 damage. But the Steam Artillery 70 damage for 2 energy just is not enough to make me want to play it, right? So the Scorching Armor doesn't really matter because we're not going to be wanting to attack with this thing. So why is it even in the deck, right? I like the ability, just wish the attack could help it a little bit more. And that's all the Fire-type Pokemon. Let's see, the standouts for me were SQ, EX, and Victini maybe, but Camerupt EX, or Camerupt, just regular Camerupt, I think is a standout as well. And that's about it. Ninetales is a standout. Those are the 3 standouts, I think. Putting 9 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, being Manaphy being the obvious choice. I didn't see a lot of spread here, so I don't know how useful that's going to be, but then Cramorant having this eruption attack is huge. I absolutely love Camerupt. I think it is the biggest standout in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the rest of this set review. I'm going through every type, 1 type a day. That way, if you ever need to reference back to it, it's very easy to find what you need. And be sure to join the Discord as well. There's some awesome people in there, and you get some more one-on-one time with me, this guy. Hey. And of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.